What is up, wrestling fans? Welcome to the WWE Payback 2023 Pay-Per-Viewpoint post-show recap and review from Smark Moment Smack Talk podcast. I'm your host, as always, Tony Mango. Joining me, as always, is Robert E. Felice.
Hey, I feel like it's been a while since I've done a post-show, but here I am.
No, it's certainly not been a while since we've had a post-show here. It's been like pay-per-view season, like insanity right now. We got another one coming up tomorrow with the all-out post-show. We will save the CM Punk talk for that. We're going to get through Payback tonight. We'll talk about that in great detail tomorrow, I'm sure. But if you want to chat up in the live chat about it, I'm not going to stop you. That's still something you guys can have fun with. I do see we have a couple people filing in on the chat now. I see the Peters here. I see the Marcos popping up. I'm sure that there's some other people. Oh, yeah, the numbers going up and whatever. But make yourselves known. Make your presence known. Say something. Hit up a super chat if you want to make sure I see it and all. Obviously, if you're listening to this after the fact or when you're listening to it currently, make sure that you also click the like button on this. Make sure that you are subscribed, especially if you are in the live chat. You can't chat unless you are subscribed. It's just one of the little things that's out there. And ring that notification bell. That way you get to know when we go live for tomorrow's show. And if you missed this one, then that's one of the reasons why you can offset that. You get a little email alert for that. They're pretty handy dandy. Patreon and the channel membership on YouTube are other ways so you can help us out on the money side of things. A little thanks button as well. Redbubble and TeePublic when it comes to the merchandise side of it. And let's start getting into this. I see Adam's popping up in the chat. What's up, Adam? Payback just finished. So we're going to run down what happened, talk about our pros and cons and everything in between. Nothing on the kickoff worth talking about except for this random announcement that came in later throughout the night, so we'll come back on that. But we started off the night with the steel cage match between Becky Lynch and Trish Stratus. And I got to admit, this was a better match than I was expecting. This is a pretty damn good match. Took a little bit of a while to get started, and the first 5 minutes of it or so, I was like, I'm not really into this. But they picked up the pace. They started doing some interesting things here and there, more than I thought that they would do. Zoe Stark got involved. No Lita. Disappointed in that. I'll say that because the story doesn't have a viable enough conclusion. Tiffany Stratton was around ringside, and I know that you were convinced that she was going to get involved and maybe get the win for Becky.
That cost me a point on the fantasy league.
Yeah, which by the way, Callum wins
won.
that. He wins it because of the damn tag title match. Otherwise, that would have been another one in a row for me.
I real quick, I got for fantasy league stuff. The announcement of Tiffany threw me off, and the Street Profits staring down Owens and Zayn on SmackDown threw me off.
Yeah, you thought that there was going to be
those two things.
Owens and Zayn.
Yeah, I thought, maybe they'll do something with them. Because, we'll get to Owens and Zayn later. But this cage match was fantastic. I loved it. I think Trish might want to bow out here. Because I know we've been a little critical of her work in this run. But she delivered here. This is the kind of match I would have expected these two to have.
This is what they should have had a couple months ago. And then it should have ended. But I liked it.
I liked it a lot.
I like at the end of it that Zoe Stark and Trish were getting into an argument. Trish was telling Zoe to leave, and Zoe decided to shut the cage door and hit her finisher on her too, which may or may not be a babyface turn for everyone that's questioning about that. It's not something that's a definitive thing. I've said it a million times. A heel doing something to a heel does not necessitate a babyface turn. They could very well just be splitting them up, and then Stark can continue to be a heel on her own going forward. Or this could be
the vibe I'm getting.
It could be the way that they plan on having her turn babyface enough. I'm getting an error right now that I've never seen before. It says YouTube is not receiving enough video to maintain smooth streaming. As such, viewers will experience buffering. If anybody's having any issues, let me know. That's not something I've seen before.
Ever.
And I don't understand why that would be the case. It's not like I have a bad internet signal or anything, but I was having an issue at the very beginning of this. It seemed like something was off. So live chat people, if you see something strange, let me know. And maybe we it's green static anyway. Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, I don't know why it's like, it's not enough video to maintain smooth streaming. Well, we will see what's happening with this, but I don't like that it says stream status is poor. So we'll keep an eye on that a little bit.
As long as our audio status isn't poor, I wouldn't let it affect you too much.
Yeah, we'll see. And thought that this cage match ended up being very solid. Not just because it's a solid steel cage, but I like that they are seemingly done with this. And they had a little tease later on. Tiffany Stratton backstage with Becky Lynch saying, I apologize about bringing your name in I want to be a better NXT Women's Champion than everybody beforehand, like Charlotte and Asuka and you. I apologize because you never were a champion. And they're teasing the idea that she's going to pop up on NXT this Tuesday or sometime in the near future, which if you want to pop a rating for it, throwing Becky Lynch on there, it's not a bad idea. So we might see Becky Lynch versus Tiffany Stratton at No Mercy, for all we know.
I dare say that's too big for No Mercy. Come on, Becky. At one point, maybe she's not there anymore. But at one point, she was like on that level of like your Roman level babyface.
Yeah, but if you want to make sure that people tune in to that, it's a good way of doing it.
Yeah, but I'd also argue you could. Why doesn't Roman just show up at NXT then?
I mean, why doesn't Roman show up on any of the other shows?
I like this. I think she should just take out Kiana James and fight her on Tuesday. That would make a lot more sense as to why they even had a heel versus heel match booked.
That could be the case. Yeah, I mean, they threw a curveball in there for the Kiana James thing. So we were talking about that on the hot tags for anybody who wants to go back and check that out. It seems a little odd to me.
I didn't hate the fact that this was going on as long as it was. I hated the fact that they didn't do anything for several months. It just seemed like they kept wanting to end it and then didn't end it, you know?
Yeah.
But I liked this match, and I'm happy that they were able to have a great match.
Yeah, I'm confident that they couldn't do anything better than what they did here. And if this is the end of it, which I feel like it should be, they ended on a good note, at least. Took a long time to get there.
For Trish.
I don't know.
I hope not.
I don't get the feeling that it's like 100% the end. Like we're going to look back in 20 years and be like, yeah, she never did any other matches or anything. But I got a feeling at the very least, this is the end of what they planned to do. And then that they had extended it for as long as they did. I don't think that there's like an immediate plan for her to be like, okay, she's going to come out on Monday Night Raw. She's going to start a feud with Zoe Stark. They're going to have a match and then she's going to move on. And by the time we get the Survivor Series, she's going to be on Team Raw. And then, Royal Rumble, she's going to start a feud with Natty. And, I don't think that's going to be the case.
I wouldn't hate it. Because
I'd want to see what they would do before I would jump to pro-con any of that,
Honestly, they were really slacking with the women, so this felt like a return to form in both matches. I'll say that both women's matches tonight felt like a return to form for the women on this card.
I like the steel cage match better, but I'm not going to be crapping on the. I'm not going to be crapping on the Rhea Ripley match. I thought that there was some good stuff there too. In any fashion, Becky Lynch wins that, and then we go to John Cena coming out for a promo because he is the impromptu host of this show. And he mentions the thing that they had mentioned for the kickoff, that he decided that he's going to be the special guest referee for LA Knight versus The Miz. So The Miz comes out. They have a little back and forth of The Miz being somebody who's hosted a lot of shows. So he's giving him some pointers, telling him you got to dress better. You have to be more authoritarian. And Cena's like, oh, like when I put myself in as a special guest referee, like that kind of thing. Typical kind of thing that you could see with the back and forth between those two. And I liked part of this, but I didn't like another part of it. And both of it is about John Cena. I thought that if you're looking for John Cena to do the John Cena thing, that's good. But he completely overshadowed LA Knight.
I didn't think so, but I had my sound largely down. And like honestly, getting overshadowed by John Cena is not a big deal at all. You know what I mean?
Well, he in the match was like, obviously, as a special guest referee, he's not doing the typical thing that's the referees do. And there were a couple of moments where he and The Miz or he and LA Knight were kind of like, having some words with each other and all. And it all ends with LA Knight getting the victory and, celebrating for a moment, whatever. But then there was like another moment of tension with John Cena where he gives him a handshake, raises his hand and all. But it just sort of felt like, at least to me, that they're not setting up LA Knight versus John Cena, but they just did something for the sake of it. And then it became more about, is John Cena going to go up against LA Knight in my mind, rather than LA Knight got a victory?
I think they want to keep their options open. I'll say that. Because LA Knight's super over. They might want to put him in the ring with Cena, but they might also look at it like it's a cool moment for him. They
made it a point on the commentary to be like, what an endorsement. Like, LA Knight is getting put over by John Cena, that kind of...
That was the second time they did that this year. Remember the Cody thing where he literally just brought Cody out to hug him? Like on the road to WrestleMania?
And then Brock with the Cody thing where it's just like, this is about endorsements this year. Yeah,
Yeah, they're really getting into... And I don't like that. That's too inside baseball for me.
I like some elements of that when they do it for certain matches, and then other times it just feels a little hokey. So this one I didn't really like too much. I think that they could have done something else, or at least in a different way or something. But I'm glad that LA Knight got the win. That's good.
I do want to, real quick, the promo that happened beforehand, was that the most Nickelodeon exchange you've seen on WWE TV in years? It just felt so childish, where...
Oh, I watch NXT every week. So.
I guess because it's like a throwback to when they were actually PG, and I know, like, look, people still think WWE is PG. Now, I'm talking about, like, when it was John Cena coming out every week and saying poopy caca, like, that's what it felt like to me, and it just really honed into me that, yeah, the John Cena era is kind of over, because it felt like a stark shift. It's like, yeah, the top people don't do that anymore. John Cena's very good at it, but it was very silly.
Well, where do you think they go from here with LA Knight? Do you think they go with the Cena thing, or do you think they're going to just bypass that and go with something else?
You might end up... I mean, Cena's around for 2 months. I can see them doing a friendly match on an episode of SmackDown. But we'll see. I can't really say because the mid-card champion right now is babyface. Because otherwise I'd say he should probably win a title.
Yeah.
Does he team with someone to fight the tag team champions, maybe?
Nobody stands out in my mind that would be teaming with him, but yeah, I don't know. In any fashion, said that twice this episode. Don't want to make that a thing. I don't want this to be the in any fashion episode. But we had that match. Thought it was overall a pretty decent segment. John Cena kind of overtook it a little bit too much more for my taste, but I did like it better than the next thing. Rey Mysterio against Austin Theory for the United States Championship. Something seemed off with Rey tonight from his entrance onward. Just seemed slow. It seemed like he didn't have any energy to him. Certain moves where he did this little thing where he went underneath Austin Theory, and it seems like he was supposed to be either getting up right after that, or that Theory was supposed to be like kind of popping up closer to him and he was going to just do a kick. And it seemed like he just sort of laid there and motioned for him to like get closer to him so he could kick him. A lot of things that happened in this match felt off to me.
The Fightful Select report, which had the rundown of the matches, did say that Rey Mysterio's name had some question marks around it. But maybe he wasn't fully like
up to 100%.
Stuff. Yeah.
That could be the case.
And he just wanted to do the match because there's been too many like start and stops with this thing.
Yeah, maybe I'll just grit it out and look, we'll put on as good of a match as we can, but they didn't do any title change or anything, so I guess it's not something, if there is anything at all, of course, I guess it wouldn't be anything serious enough for them to feel like they needed to pull the trigger on a title change. But for a moment there, I was thinking that they were going to go with something at the very beginning of this when he was just coming out pretty, not like knocked loopy kind of sense, but it just seemed like he wasn't quite all there and all like exhausted, maybe, I guess would be the best way of putting it. That's how he seemed to me. And there was a moment where I was thinking, oh, are they going to tell the story that he's like not capable and Santos is going to have to wrestle for him or do some kind of weird thing with that or something? They ended up not touching on it at all. So I guess that wasn't part of the plan. But I wasn't a big fan of the segment overall. I thought that the match, of course, like we said in our predictions, really didn't matter because we were just like, all right, well, Theory's not going to get the title back. And if Rey Mysterio retains, we're doing a rematch for the sake of doing a rematch and killing time for another couple weeks. And that's what happened. It's pointless.
Yeah. I ultimately didn't pay too much attention to this match. I wasn't even aware of what you were saying until you pointed it out to me. I was like, okay, I guess I should pay attention.
About the Rey stuff?
Yeah, like, it just seemed like it was a match. And I didn't give too much thought to it because if we're honest, with the exception of like the Dominic stuff, he had kind of been a step behind just in general over the past few years. So I wasn't like too honed in on it.
I mean, Rey has had his ups and downs for sure, but this didn't do it for me. Not the worst thing that's ever happened in the history of pro wrestling or anything. For anybody that's going to act like I'm saying that, but definitely a thumbs down.
I love how in recent podcasts you have always like gotten out in front of any extreme criticisms that may come your way.
Because I'm sick and tired. I'm so sick and tired of people being like I got tagged in something recently where it was like, oh, you've got such a pro AEW bias that I can't stand it.
That's hysterical.
And I'm like, are you?
Folks, he doesn't watch the product at the time.
Like, if anything, I'm more lenient on WWE than AEW, but people like to look what they want. And I said it in a tweet earlier today when somebody was mentioning about the idea of like, why are there so many 5-star matches to some people? And like, a lot of people act like a 5-star match is a really good match when it should be like the best of the best. And I'm like, yeah, it's stupid. Like a 4 out of 5 is like an A-. That's great. If you gave something a 4.75 out of 5, it's nearly perfect. People are like, well, isn't it a 5? And you're like, oh my God, everything's black and white, just 100% or nothing, right? But that's the way that a lot of people are in these days. If you say, man, I haven't enjoyed the MCU as much after Endgame. A lot of those movies, they don't hold up as well as the first 3 phases. And people are like, why do you hate Marvel? And it's like, okay, I hate it all now. Yeah, I've always hated it. I hate everything about it and all the people involved in all the movies. Sure. You burn the earth down if you say something's not the best thing ever. So I try to get out ahead from some of those people that are going to be like, why are you wishing that Rey Mysterio retired or something? It's like, I didn't think the match was all that great. Fuck, There was that meme from Superbad when Jonah Hill's like, fuck me, right? Or something. So yeah, it was a pointless match because Theory didn't win. It didn't like push a story further any bit whatsoever. It was just Rey beat Austin Theory the other day. And let's have him beat him again. Blah.
I can see that. And I kind of agree with it. It wasn't anything crazy.
The most interesting part about this was the fact that they had the Cinnamon Toast Crunch advertisements all over the place again.
Yeah, they didn't go into it hyping that too much, which I prefer, but I still don't like this stuff.
Yeah, it's too distracting. Good cereal though, one of the best. Hey, Cinnamon Toast Crunch, if you want to sponsor Smark at Moment, I'm fine with slapping that all over the place for a good amount of money. I'll see the that static screen that YouTube is, which, by the way, we have an excellent connection on there now, so it must have just been an upload issue on my end. Yeah, I'll switch that little graphic at the bottom left that says make sure to subscribe and have that be a little Cinnamon Toast Crunch dude. Cute little mascots, by the way. Let's see what happened after this. It was a Becky Lynch interview thing, and then we went into the Steel City Street fight between Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn against Damian Priest and Finn Balor and Rhea Ripley and Dominic Mysterio and JD McDonough. Because all of Judgment Day got involved in this. And
by far the best match of the night.
Yeah, this stole the show. This was a lot of fun. Started off again the way that a lot of these do, where they just have kendo sticks and they're not really doing too much, but they got more and more involved throughout that. They brawled as if this was like a stadium stampede match all throughout the arena. They even had a moment with
a very fun hardcore match.
Yeah. They had the moment where Owens and Zayn came up from the penalty box and they had the Pittsburgh Penguins jerseys on for Lemieux and Crosby, I think was the other one. Mario Lemieux, one of the only hockey players that I could actually name because he was popular when I was a kid and I used to play NHL Hits. It was a good game. But they had their hockey sticks. They got, big pop from that. They got a big heat moment with those rally towels and Balor stomping on one of them. The typical, like, hey, your local sports team sucks. Boo, But they had some good moments all throughout this match. The Blue Thunder Bomb on the stack of chairs. We had Rhea Ripley spearing Kevin Owens through the barricade. Oh, that was a good moment. Didn't expect that to happen. They were fighting around the pre-show panel desk, jumping on the off the security barricade. Owens did his swanton bomb and missed a part of the table that he was going to jump through Dominic for, and smacked on the concrete. That hurt like a son of a bitch, I'm sure.
I want to talk about the booking of Finn Balor for a second. Because it has to be said that they do such a good job of making him not win things, that with 5 people on 2, I'm like, oh my God, they're really going to have Sami and Kevin win. That last Haluva kick, I was like, are you serious? Thankfully, Dominic Mysterio came running in with the Money in the Bank briefcase, and Finn Balor was actually able to pin Sami for the victory. But my God, I was scared for a second. Because there was too many people out there that I was like, if they don't win, drop the Judgment Day.
Yeah.
They look stupid.
Yeah, and they, of course, needed all that help, which helps Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn look strong. Because it wasn't even like, well, it's an ODQ match and it was 2-on-2 and everything weapon-wise was fair. And then it's just even Steven. They needed 3 other people to beat them. So it's not the strongest win for them, but at least they walk away with the titles. And honestly, I was a little bit surprised about it because I did think that induced share match that they were advertising for Superstar Spectacle would have gotten involved. Right. So now that's either going to be Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn against them in a non-title match where induced share can win and you don't have to put the tag titles on them. Or they're going to change it to Judgment Day versus induced share, or Judgment Day versus Owens and Sami and then somebody else against induced share. I don't know what they're planning on doing with that. They have gotten well past the point where they should have announced that that's any kind of live event they're going to broadcast. In fact, they specifically said on this show the next time we're going to be coming to you for a pay-per-view, and then it was the Fastlane advertisement. So it seems like that is just a live event that they are not broadcasting. Goes to show they don't care as much about that Indian deal as they had said that they were doing for. Because
remember when it was like, oh, they're gonna get their own NXT.
Yep, NXT India is going to be a huge priority for us, and we got the Superstar Spectacle show, and then that happened during COVID, where they were like, well, let's just at the last minute kind of just do a show, and we'll replace some people, and none of the matches are going to make any sense, and we'll film it in front of the Thunderdome, and like, who was the girl that, like, she wasn't even, like, supposed to be part of it, and it was, like, a last-minute replacement. Sandu. Yeah, Sandu. And then, obviously they did, like, the Finn Balor versus Guru Raj matches and stuff, where they were just like, how about this guy against that guy? And Charlotte's there and whatever. And for them to come back around and do this and just go, oh, it's a live event, but we don't really care to film it. Oof.
They're going to film it, don't get me wrong.
They'll film it, but I'm sure that they film, like, everything at this point, just in case there's another curtain call type moment. But the setup for that doesn't seem like that matters all that much. So I guess Indus is going to do whatever they're going to do, and it's not going to be for the tag titles. I don't love the idea of Damian Priest and Finn Balor being the champions because I am not the biggest fan of the only story being told in WWE for the tag team divisions is when are these people going to split? We've already had 2 months of this team teasing that they're going to split. And I would have been more interested in JD McDonough and Finn Balor being the champions, where it's like, oh, see, they get along. And then Priest is on the outs. And this makes it even more obvious to me that they are not going to give that championship to Damian Priest with the Money in the Bank briefcase, because he's not going to hold the world title and the tag titles at the same time. And I don't know. I understand putting it on Judgment Day because they are really hoping that they can fill in that bloodline void. We'll talk a little bit about the blue bloodline later on too. But I just don't think Priest and Balor is the story because they're just going to fight. And we've been seeing them fight. So I'm kind of already looking forward to who's going to be the next champions.
Yeah. Here's the kicker. Not that they care as much anymore, but it's an excuse to put Judgment Day on SmackDown. And now they can do SmackDown.
I guess they can do that, yeah, because the tag team champions will be roaming, and then, I mean, they don't care anyway. Like, you know, we've said like Damian Priest and Finn Balor popping over there isn't something that's going to stop them when they had Cody Rhodes popping over there, and they just have LA Knight popping up on Raw and Miz popping up on SmackDown and all. So I guess it really doesn't matter, but maybe that's their main goal, is just we want to have Judgment Day on as many shows as possible, and this is a good way of doing it.
And this is a stupid thing. I'm half joking when I say this, but half serious as well. It's clearly time for new tag titles, right?
I mean, it's been time since they first debuted those copper penny things.
Are we getting a purple strap, and that's why they put it on the Judgment Day?
Nah, I don't think so.
Only half joking.
I don't think so. There have been stranger things that have happened.
Red strap, you got a blue strap, you put red and blue together, you get it.
Stranger things have happened. Oh, I'm refreshing my Twitter feed right now. This has nothing to do with our podcast, but shout out to somebody that I guess they proposed in the arena tonight. J Small Saints on Twitter. Then she said yes. Congrats to that couple.
Good.
Fuck yeah.
I love that. I love love.
You gotta love love.
You gotta love love.
I'm not envious of your future planning weddings and stuff. It's
them too. How'd that go for you?
Yeah,
I know how that went.
Yeah. it went really very stressful, and then it all worked out. So, Peter's saying split the title, Finn and Damian for one, Dominic and Judgment Day, JD McDonough for the others.
Can you imagine? Like, they're just like, hey, we're gonna split the titles by giving it to the other members of Judgment Day.
That would be kind of funny. Although if they were going to do that, I would want them to split it half and half the other way. I'd rather it be like, well, Damian Priest and Finn Balor still don't get along, so Priest is going to take, say, the SmackDown ones, and he's going to bring Dom with him, and then Balor is going to be like, okay, well, I've got JD, and then we're the Raw Tag Team Champions, you know? That could be a fun way of doing it if they want to, because they're still hinging on these undisputed tag team titles being separate. You defend them both at the same time, and then if you go over to the page on WWE.com, the Superstars page that shows you all the championships and all, that to this day still has Raw Tag Team Champions, SmackDown Tag Team Champions, Universal Champion, WWE Champion. Despite the fact that they are supposed to be undisputed and combined, they are separate for sure. So maybe they do plan on splitting them.
I hope they fix that real soon.
I just want them to get rid of those friggin' belts. I think they're so ugly. I've never liked them at all. They still don't even have the side plates. It's like, come on. But this match was great. And even though I'm not a huge fan of Priest and Balor going to be doing the tension going forward with the tag titles and all, it does open itself up to some more options, because now I'm, like I said, looking forward to who the next champions are. It's going to be Alpha Academy, the ones to beat them. It's going to be these semi-babyface, semi-heel Street Profits with Bobby Lashley. Still don't quite know what they're doing there. You've got...
They haven't called them the Hurt Business or anything.
Yeah, they're just sort of milking it for as long as they can to just be like, we're sort of a team.
Exactly like, you know what we're doing. Yeah. The whole story with them. I don't care. Mm-hmm. No, real quick. Look, seriously. It has been like a month and a half of, hey, the Street Profits are in suits. Isn't that exciting? Like, no. Like, it's...
Shout out to Montez having a funny line the other night, though, where he's just like, we look sexy.
Yeah, and like, okay, good. They're in suits. They're still coming out with solo cups.
Yeah.
They're still doing the bit. What are you doing?
Yeah,
like,
they're
what are we doing here?
Waiting for something, maybe.
That's my new thing. I'm waiting for that to go up on the website. What are we doing here?
Yeah. Like, I think what are we doing here is on the list of recurring jokes, if I don't remember correctly.
Like, well, here's the thing: is definitely.
I mean, that's got to be on there. I'll double check that in the meantime. But I am curious if maybe DIY could be the next tag team champions whenever the hell Johnny Gargano comes back.
From where? Where is Johnny Gargano?
I don't even think that Tommaso Ciampa knows.
I don't get it.
So let's see. Here's the thing. Yep, that's on there. What are we doing? Yeah, that's on there.
Nice. I love that.
With no date on it, since it's been going back for as long as possible.
That's tremendous.
See, it boils down to yeah, we will track future champions down the line, of course. My immediate reaction is I don't think that they necessarily have somebody in mind that they want to win those tag titles yet, but so I'm sure they'll split up and that,
more important than tag titles. Do Kevin and Sami start competing as singles again?
I kind of hope so.
Because that makes the top of the card instantaneously better. If you've got Kevin and Sami who can focus full time on Gunther or Rollins or Nakamura, who we're going to talk about later in the show, I think that would help.
Depending on who they feud with, I would say. Because they have already feuded with, like, they've done the Gunther stuff enough that I don't think they need to touch back on that. I don't really want to see them just go back to doing the bloodline stuff when Roman's around. But I could see maybe a heel turn. I could see maybe a respectful babyface feud with, somebody like a Seth Rollins or something. Yeah, they can play around with it. I'm down for them mixing around in the singles division, though. If they continue with the tag thing, I don't know where they go from here, because they're probably not just going to win the tag titles right back, and then they're kind of just going to be losers for a while. I don't know if I really like that. So I'd rather them go into the singles division. Oh, and Peter brought up something that I forgot to mention. With this win, Finn Balor becomes a Grand Slam champion.
Nice.
So shout out to him. Frankie's in the chat too. From the bits and pieces I saw of this show, tag title match definitely seemed like the highlight. During this was the Dennis Rodman stuff, so I was focused on him trying to talk. Did he do a bad job on that? I didn't see anything with that. I just saw a couple clips here and there. Which again, we will talk about some more of that CM Punk stuff a little bit later on tomorrow, and his release from the company, which is a very interesting topic, to say the least. But here's another interesting topic. We had the Grayson Waller effect with Cody Rhodes, which, to steal my phrase from the past, boiled down to nothing related to Grayson Waller or Cody Rhodes. Instead, Cody had this big announcement that Grayson Waller was like, oh, what's your big announcement going to be? Which was like, they didn't say that was going to be a thing, right? I remember them hyping up as like, Cody's got a big announcement for this.
Judgment Day is starting to celebrate, Cody tweets out, hey, how about we make an announcement coming up next on the Grayson Waller effect? And that was the hint of like, oh, that's what this is going to be.
Okay. So it was immediately right beforehand. No wonder I didn't see that one coming then. His announcement is to say, in a long-winded way, I don't know why they went around it so much, but Jey Uso has been brought to the Monday Night Raw roster via Cody Rhodes. Like, he used his political pull backstage stroke to get Jey Uso on the Raw roster. And Jey Uso came out to a huge pop and a lot of celebration. He super kicked Grayson Waller, and they had a little stare down for a minute.
I like the theme songs. Really, I like the theme songs for Jimmy and Jay.
I got to listen to Jimmy's new song again. Because at first, I was in the other room at the time when that happened on SmackDown. I was actually washing some dishes. And I'm like overhearing for a split second some other noise. And I was like, wait, who's coming out? Because I didn't understand that this was like a new theme for him. I'm just like, I don't recognize this music at all. So I didn't really hear it too well. But Jay's is pretty much the music that they had before. It's just, slight tweak.
Yeah, but he's now like, it's like the weirdest remix where he's now like inserting, it's on me now, day one-ish. Like, I kind of like it. I like that they're finally separate people after years of, because like, granted, we needed them to be a tag team because no one else was. But there were a lot of years there where they were interchangeable completely.
Yeah.
Until Jimmy went down with the injury and Main Event Jay became Main Event Jay. I loved this a lot. I thought this was fantastic. It puts the bloodline on the show, first of all, which is, like I kept saying, it's weird that there's no bloodline presence on this show. It reinforces this weird thing that Cody's got political stroke. For a minute there, I thought he was actually going to say, I'm cashing in my chips and I'm going to SmackDown.
That's what I thought. Because he was like, you watch NXT, right? That's a pretty interesting show. You watch Monday Night Raw, you watch SmackDown, but there's a thing on SmackDown that I think needs to be a wrong that needs to be righted. And I'm like, oh, is he trying to say he used this pull to right a wrong by going to SmackDown so that way he could be ready for Roman, that he can clean up the bloodline, or that he can start a feud with Grayson Waller? Because Grayson Waller is on the SmackDown roster, so it's like the wrong that should be righted is shut your mouth, or you know what I mean? Like, I did not anticipate by any means it was going to be. And the wrong that's been righted is I'm getting Jay on Raw.
I love it because it puts Jay on Raw, which means definitively they're doing their thing. And now Jay can do his own thing.
Which is weird because the fuck's Jay gonna do? You know?
Like Gunther, he's gonna do a lot of things and he's gonna stay the fuck away from Jimmy until at least the Royal Rumble.
This does very much give me that feeling that they're like, if we separate them on the roster, we can wait a couple months to do the match at WrestleMania.
Damn it, I dare say that's more effort than they've put into the last 2 years when they would start a feud in October and want to stretch it out to Mania.
I would much rather have their put like a roadblock between them and to have if the Raw and SmackDown brand split was done properly, then we would actually feel like there was a brand split. Instead, right now, it's like, yeah, at any moment, they could just pop over the other show and it's not going to matter. But I would rather them, if they're going to wait to do Jimmy versus Jay at WrestleMania, I'd much rather them go this route. Because then you do have an excuse. You can say, look, they're not fighting each other because they don't have any interaction until Survivor Series. And it's one's on Team Raw, one's on Team SmackDown. They have a stare down and we kind of tease it. And then Royal Rumble, the two of them are in the ring together and Jimmy throws Jay out. And, you know, that's a way to get around it over a couple months. And then you give them other feuds in the meantime where
Jay fights Gunther. Jay fights Seth Rollins.
Could even be that
match for the world title.
Could be that Jay is like just gonna feud with some random people in the mid card, like I don't know, The Miz or Bronson Reed or Shinsuke afterward,
and it puts Cody in the Roman Reigns program again, because first of all, who the fuck, you're not the tribal chief. How dare you have political pull that you can even use to get my cousin on your show? And also, Cody was very clear of like, I don't know if I just fucked myself here, but here we go. Jey Uso, you're on Raw now. Like he was very reluctant, but he was also like, I've got to right this wrong for Jay. I liked it.
I like that there's a lot that could be happening here. I'm hoping that we don't look back in a few months and we end up being like, wow, they dropped the ball. Because even that little stare down that they did between Jay and Cody could come back to be like, see, I'm doing you a favor here. And you are anti-Roman and I'm anti-Roman. So come a few months from now, if I win the Royal Rumble or something,
if we're the final two in the Rumble,
can you not fuck me over and join the bloodline and everything? Like, are you going to be kind of on my side a little bit, or they can play into that.
Like if we're the final two in the Rumble, how about you take a fucking dive so I can get my belt? Like
that'd be a worse way of putting Cody over, though. If like he wins the Royal Rumble because Jay's like, yeah, go ahead and you win it, and then everybody's like, oh, he didn't deserve it. Then people would be rooting for Jay, I think. So I'm hoping that they don't do that either. I hope that they have Jimmy eliminate Jay from the Royal. I'm already booking the fucking Royal Rumble.
I know, but I think at this point I'm also already booking the Royal Rumble because I think that makes the most sense. That's where you do it. The final four can be like Solo, Jay, Gunther, and Cody, and I was gonna get bogged down in fantasy booking for a Rumble.
Well, Peter's tossing out. He thinks Jay should beat Gunther for the Intercontinental title, and Jay now immediately shoots up to the top of the list of people who could do that. He could still lose it to Chad Gable on Monday, but I don't think that's going to be the case. I think that they're going to have him beat that record. So once he breaks the record, it could be Johnny Gargano, it could be Tommaso Ciampa, it could be Chad Gable in another match, but I highly doubt it. It could very well be Jey Uso now.
But again, like that Rollins thing stands out to me too, because Rollins can be like, first of all, who are you, Cody, to bring this guy on my show? And who the hell are you? And now you want to be this good guy? And because Rollins' whole arc is that he's bitter as fuck. That the whole show is about Roman.
Rollins is very much the Bret Hart of his generation. It's not only the fact that he's the number two guy compared to, the bigger deal that they always got to do that with, but it's also that it's always about him being bitter.
Yeah, it's like there's a lot of good here. I might be giving them too much credit, but this is a move that I really like.
It's way more interesting than I thought we were going to get, which was just pretty much that they are going to have a match between Cody and Grayson Waller. I'm surprised that we didn't get Jimmy Uso and John Cena added to the card. Maybe they want to milk that a little longer.
That's another thing, just since we're talking Bloodline anyway. They made Jimmy look like a bitch last night. Where suddenly he's just like, why are you here, John? They're here to see me. I'm a star. I'm Jimmy. Say my name. I'm Jimmy. Like, I didn't get the jealous vibes from when he turned on Jay.
No, he was supposed to be lashing out. Concerned brother.
For him to just start lashing out was very weird, and then for John to just beat him up was even worse because it's like.
And then for him to be like, my younger brother Solo, I gotta like get my ass kicked by him too, and suddenly I'm super into being a pro Bloodline guy.
Part of the Bloodline, yeah. It's like I think I've realized that I can't do this. It's very strange, but. It's different developments. I'm not going to complain too much.
That random aside from AJ Styles to be like, hey, you disrespecting Meech and fuck you, pal.
Yeah.
Well, this was an interesting segment. There's a lot of potential for where they go in the future. I still think it's not the best use of Cody Rhodes for a pay-per-view, and I still think that this is something that's a bigger deal on a TV show that shouldn't be on a pay-per-view, because you shouldn't necessarily buy a pay-per-view for a talking segment where somebody comes out and does one super kick. But at least there's something to talk about. I'll say that. And I honestly don't have too much to talk about the next match. It was a Women's World Championship match between Rhea Ripley and Raquel Rodriguez, which was fine. Like, it was a good match enough for telling the story of Raquel's a bigger threat to Rhea because she is one of the taller people on the roster that can actually stand toe to toe with her. She's got a back. Do you know that?
I did. I knew about her back, actually.
And she only retained the title through more interference from Dominic, so it still helps Raquel look like she could have gotten a win. It's fine.
I thought it was really interesting that Michael Cole called Dominic the MVP of Judgment Day tonight, and it's true because he did directly put both of the Judgment Day matches in the hands of Judgment Day. I thought that was a really cool moment. I understand why, but I don't like the fact that I'm not advocating for intergender wrestling or, man on woman violence, but I am advocating for, like, bro, you can do a little more to help your women. You know what I mean? I hate the whole, well, Rhea Ripley's allowed to just bulldoze dudes, and then Dom, and not only Dom, but like Finn and Damian sometimes just gotta stand there and watch Rhea get beat up, and I just don't like it. In this case, it worked because Dom's a little more meek, and he can eat the power slam and they get the pop. But that's just been a trend lately on Raw.
It does the same, the opposite way too, where it's like, say, Priest and Balor and Dominic are in the ring, and Kevin and Sami and Cody start fighting them. Rhea suddenly leaves the ring and stands around yelling, Yeah,
it's like, and granted, with Rhea, they've been a little more hands-on, but it's like, yeah, help your people. Like,
yeah.
Worry about the intergender of it all later. Help your people.
Austin comes out. He's like, I would have stunned the bitch. You know what I mean? Like, that's how he used to do things back in the day, right? He never had a problem giving a stunner to Stephanie or.
None of them did. That's the funny thing is Stephanie ate a lot of finishers back in the day. Like, that's phrasing, but.
I didn't even think about that. Oh God. I don't even know, at least one finisher that she took. So
moving on.
Let's see here. We then had a little backstage thing with John Cena pulling out his inner Lance Catamaran and being a backstage interviewer. Damian Priest and Finn Balor just being like, hey, we won the belts. It's really nothing else too much more to that.
John Cena. Again, I gotta go back to the Nickelodeon thing. Cause like he seems stuck in that mode where like he's just, I know a lot of guys go, I don't want to be a parody of myself. John Cena feels like he jumped straight into, I am just gonna be a parody of what I was doing 12 years ago. Like, I'm gonna take that Super Cena thing and dial it up to 15.
Yeah.
I don't love it. I want him to have like one more like serious run. And I don't know if we're going to get it.
I don't think we're going to. I don't think he's going to ever have that other championship run, like with the world title, make that, break the record. I don't think that he's going to have any super duper marquee WrestleMania matches where it's like, okay, this is like my career ending match or anything. Especially because of the way that the Austin Theory thing went down, where he was just like, hey, you goofball, you fucking loser. And then that was it, Didn't even really show up for more than the one promo for that. It's not my favorite shtick, but for a lot of people, that's like their favorite of all time, and that's what they want. And it's going to get ratings, and he seems like he's having fun. So I do want to see more over the next few weeks. I don't want him to just cut a promo every night. Let's see him have some matches. It seems like a lot of people are teasing the Cody Rhodes match and pointing out that he even said something during the Grayson Waller thing that was like a John Cenaism. I didn't quite catch it though. It was something like fine speech or whatever.
Yeah, he directly, just immediately, fine speech. I was like, oh, okay, we're just going to go. All right. That's fine. Fuck. That's great. Because Cody Rhodes is a level of over I never thought we would see again in WWE. There's a commanding way that he has with the audience and over a microphone that it's like, this dude was born to be the absolute mega bubblegum babyface of the product.
And should be champion right now.
Yeah.
Well, as far as championships are concerned and world titles and people that have a stake to say that they should beat Roman and all, or have beaten him in the past or whatever, Seth freaking Rollins retained the World Heavyweight Championship over Shinsuke Nakamura in a match that was good, but I think overstayed its welcome a little bit. And they were setting up what I felt is like this match is going on long enough that Damian Priest could come out and cash in. It would make sense. Nothing of the sort happened. I don't think it's necessarily a bad idea that Priest didn't cash in. I don't think it would have been a good idea for him to win both the world title and the tag titles in the same night, for that matter. But it was an awkward ending because they did have them just sort of hang around for an extra minute or two.
Yeah, it did. And it was an awkward, I'll tell you why it was an awkward ending. It's the last time a WWE pay-per-view ended like that. Where it wasn't like that goddamn Roman or, oh my God, what's happening with the blood? Like, that's what made it awkward, was that it was just like, and Seth Rollins wins. Good night, everybody.
And then Rollins looking like, what the fuck just happened?
Like, yeah. And then it seemed like they stayed on the air for like maybe 90 seconds too long.
Yeah.
I'd sit there going, all right, Damian, maybe. Mm-hmm. But like, to talk about the match. Wow, was it one of my favorite Shinsuke Nakamura matches in WWE? On the main roster, I should say.
They had a cool little
liked this match.
They had a cool little thing with his entrance. I was surprised that he came out second. And then the reason why is he had this little like anime intro, which I'm not an anime fan, so it's not, for me, but I thought it was pretty cool.
I thought it was really, really good. And the one thing that hampered the match for me, and you'll understand this, I never thought for a second that he was going to win.
Oh, I specifically wrote that down on two, I think, of the different things that I put on here. Was just like, this was a good match that was hindered by the, how did I phrase it? Let me see if I can find that on here. I think of that on the smarkmo.com one. Of course, because I got the EWN stuff too. I had written this down as, let's bring the pick up. Rather standard match, good but not groundbreaking. Thumbs up overall for a B-level pay-per-view with a C-tier world title and a rushed feud where you knew the outcome before the match was even officially made. And then I had that same kind of an idea. Like, I think the near falls would have meant more if this wasn't so clearly that Nakamura is not going to win that belt.
And it boils down to steal your phrase, if you would have presented Nakamura like this, maybe even like during the pandemic, and you just kept it going, I would have thought he might win. The only glimmer of hope I had that he might win was that Muda was there.
Yeah, that did temporarily for like a split second threw me off when I was just like, they brought him in there. Maybe they did it so he could. And then I'm like, no, that's not going to happen.
There was a moment where like they were really, you worked the back so well. Like, this is such a good match. And it did pop me that Rollins hit the Rainmaker and no one moved. And I'm like, they don't even we get the significance of that. Where like if that was in an AEW ring, it would have been like, you had Excalibur screaming, "Oh my God, Seth Rollins, the Rainmaker, paying homage to one of Nakamura's great rivals." Like it would have been like this thing, and it was just literally, "Oh, Ripcord Lariat, is that enough?" And the crowd didn't pop or nothing. I really enjoyed the match. It was one of those matches where I think if I was a kid, I would probably be like gushing over it and be like, oh my God, what a fun match. And I'm always going to remember that. And I thought Shinsuke had a chance. But being an adult, it was just like, yeah, it was really good. Never thought for a second Shinsuke was going to win. And that's unfortunate. But I would have loved to see more of this.
They at least did their job about being what we had said beforehand. Like, hey, it's Rollins and Nakamura. They're both really talented. If they go out there and they put on the best show possible, the match will be good, even if we don't care about the outcome. And they did. They had a good match. Not going to be a match of the year candidate in my mind, but this was the strongest that Nakamura has looked since he had that match with AJ Styles. By far.
The WrestleMania match?
Yeah.
Yeah, even that to me, I think that he looks stronger here because the WrestleMania match I think was hampered by the fact I keep saying that, but by the fact that Jay and Nakamura had these great matches, and I think people were ultimately let down by their own expectations. Here, I was just expecting something. This was like the first. That was another thing they said. Did you know that this is the first time Nakamura closed a show?
Yeah. It makes sense, though.
Like, Michael Cole said that, and I'm like, that feels wrong. But I guess it's true.
Yeah, because when else would he have done that? Because he wouldn't have main evented with AJ.
This is the first time Rollins has closed a show since... I can't even tell you off the top of my head.
Oh God, would it be that Dolph thing?
No, that was way too long ago.
Because when would he have? It's been, past 3 years, it's been Roman or a gimmick.
You know what? Now I need to look.
Wait, was it the Cody Hell in a Cell?
Yeah. Yeah, it was Cody Hell in a Cell. Thank you.
Okay.
Cody Hell in a Cell. But even that's like kind of crazy because, that was like a year and a half ago, and you'd think he's been on this roll, and he's just that guy, He's just unfortunately playing second fiddle to Roman.
We might do in the next few weeks this topic, but the wrestlers that would have succeeded more in another era, man. Seth Rollins is as close to a top guy as you can get right now, and he's still not the top guy. But you put him different years ago, he becomes the top guy.
I mean, you put him in the Orton Cena era. If you take out Roman, he's the guy. It's just that Roman hit a level that is never going to be touched again in our lifetimes.
Yeah,
I feel confident enough saying that.
I'm still really thinking that they want to have him beat Hogan's run, and he's going to be past Mania 40. But again, we keep talking about that as time goes by. In the chat, we have that team guy had asked, who do you think will be the one to dethrone Seth Rollins? With this back thing, he might lose it sooner than I thought he was going to. I was under the impression, and I repeated this a couple times over the past few months and whatever. I was thinking, and I'm still thinking that this might be their plan, depending on how other things work out, that they wanted to do The Rock versus Roman Reigns at WrestleMania 40, and that they wanted to do Cody against somebody else. I thought maybe Bray Wyatt might have been in the mix. Of course, we're not going to get that anymore with his unfortunate passing. But that Gunther was going to win the Royal Rumble and beat Seth for the world title at Mania. Now that they're doing the back thing, and I don't know if The Rock is still at all a possibility to show up. They can't really do anything but The Rock, Cody Rhodes, or Seth Rollins to fight Roman Reigns. Anything else is going to seem strange. And the Rollins thing is only if he drops the title ahead of time and then he becomes a backup option. I don't think that that's their main plan. I do think right now that Cody probably is the plan. And Seth and Gunther can still be a thing, but Damian Priest winning that belt and them switching it around a little bit over the next few months, it's not the craziest idea. You can have Damian pin Seth, drop the belt to... I mean, they can't do Cody. That's the thing. Cody can't win that belt before he's won the belt from Roman. If he's already said that doesn't count, that's not the world title, that would be the thing that would like screw the momentum up, I think. Because then people are going to see he already won the world title and it doesn't count. You know, it's like going to be weird.
He could, but then you run the risk of like he has to lose it in a 4-way. Like he can't get beaten. You know what I mean?
And I don't think that they're going to have like Cody beats Seth and then Cody loses the belt to Gunther at Mania or something like that. Peter's suggesting Priest can lose the belt to Carlito. We still don't even know if Carlito's going to pop up in here, but seems like he is.
Oh, they did have Nakamura attack Rollins after the show went off the air. That's why they were just standing around like that.
Oh, they were waiting for something like that. So now they're just going to show it on Raw and be like, this is what happened after the event. That thing?
Yep.
Huh. Weird that they did it like that.
Interesting, because that means they're going
to continue for Fastlane and
run it back.
Do a gimmick match, yeah. And maybe they do the gimmick match in a way that he is so beaten up afterward that Damian Priest cashes in. You know, that could be the plan for Fastlane, to milk it for 2 pay-per-views and do that.
I'm not going to complain about Shinsuke Nakamura getting a second shot at the title. It's weird, but that's something that I would have called for.
Let's just say, out of pure speculation and just bullshitting, that they want to take the belt off of Seth pretty soon. What do you think that they would do? And then like build to Mania.
I would say you have Priest cash in. He wins. You put him in. You know, you do have main event Jey Uso now. And Jey Uso's like a legit main eventer. He headlined SummerSlam. You could have Priest lose it to Jey at like, I don't know, they still do December pay-per-views? Maybe a December pay-per-view. You could have him lose at the Rumble. You could have Jimmy Uso cost Jey world title at the Royal Rumble. And that's how Gunther gets it. And then Sami Zayn beats Gunther at WrestleMania.
There's Sami. There's Kevin.
There's Sami and Kevin. See?
I'm forgetting about them. They could have... Oh, man. You know, I'm getting so into it that right now that I'm thinking, like, it would be kind of fun if you saw Damian Priest beat Seth Rollins and then Sami Zayn beats Damian Priest, then Sami Zayn drops the belt to Gunther. That way you've got the belt on Sami. He wins that world title. He's got that checked off his list. And you know that Sami and Gunther on a big stage like the Royal Rumble or WrestleMania would end up doing. Yeah.
See?
Yeah. And then that moves Seth Rollins into the space where he could be a backup plan if Cody got injured to fight Roman, or Seth Rollins could have a feud with Eric. I don't know. But
like you see, like just the addition of Jey Uso. This is why I said I love this. The addition of Jey Uso and the championship loss for Owens and Zayn does open it up to where now suddenly you're like, okay, Raw's got like 5 or 6 top guys, and then you throw in the WrestleMania Logan Paul. You throw it, you know what I mean? Like, of course, you're setting yourself up for failure, probably, but like,
yeah,
there's a lot of things that you can easily play around with.
If they've had,
that's when you get into, okay, now I can see this company, you know, doing some fun shit and breaking records.
If they can play around with what they've got, yeah, you know. And for that matter, I don't think that means that CM Punk's coming back and doing that, everybody. If they are planning on, if they had Seth Rollins get attacked by Shinsuke Nakamura after this, so they're going to show that on Raw. That's going to be grounds to have another no DQ type match or something. And then maybe that is when they pull the trigger on the title changing hands. I'm more confident in the title changing hands there than if it would happen on Raw now going forward. Or
do they rush it? And do they have a title match on Raw? Because it's the one thing they do like with Money in the Bank briefcases is they like to cash it in on TV. Does Damian Priest just put it on an episode of Raw? And then you go into a fast lane with like another Priest Rollins match. You can. There's a lot of things you can do. There's a lot of puzzle pieces and movement here. I like it.
We shall see. The matches, sometimes they delivered, sometimes they were a little bit meh on some elements of it, but for a do nothing pay-per-view, we've got a couple talking points coming out. It does not, I will specify this, does not make up for the fact that they didn't do a great job setting this up and that they should not have pay-per-views like this all the time, but they at least gave us some talking points. I do not think that people should be spending money on promos in pay-per-views and on like Austin Theory versus Rey Mysterio and all. That should have just been a television match that you could have skipped over then because it really doesn't matter. And they friggin' know that, and they will not convince me otherwise. I know that's the case. But I will say the Jey Uso thing is interesting. The fact that we have new tag team champions is interesting. And I am curious to see where they go with some of these things. So for a show that should be better and could have been worse, I have more positives to say about it than I thought I would.
Probably the benefit of
low expectations.
Yeah. Because if you think about it, the preview for this show was really bleak. We were just sort of like, yeah, I guess they'll do this. Yeah, I guess they'll do that. Coming out of it, I'm pretty excited.
We will see if that carries over into tomorrow, because the preview for a lot of the All Out stuff was pretty much like, man, yeah,
I'm going to be exhausted coming out of tomorrow, and I won't be on the post-show pod. But all that to say, I would have never guessed going into Wembley that we would be talking about Tony Khan having to come out and make a statement that he was afraid for his life. Like, you and Callum will break that down into greater detail tomorrow, but crazy stuff across the board in the world of wrestling.
Well, that is it for the Payback post-show, everyone. Make sure you drop your thoughts in the comments below, and make sure, of course, that you are staying tuned for that all-out pay-per-view-point tomorrow. Make sure you are following us on Facebook and Twitter at SmarkOutMoment. Make sure that you are over there on the Marketplace options by clicking on the subscribe button, the Patreon, the join button, all the good buttons. Don't hit the bad buttons. Make sure you're clicking on the good buttons over on fanboysanonymous.com as well. Subscribing to that YouTube channel, hitting us up on Facebook and Twitter. The Patreon for that if you want to show your support for the Blue brand and get some more movie content that's out there. And check out the link tree that I have over on amangotree.com for all the different accounts. And you can follow me at Tony Mango on a good portion of those. Smark Out Moment stuff, Voice Anonymous stuff, and so on and so forth. Most recent addition to the Letterboxd was Masters of the Universe. Watched that last night. It's a terrible movie. We've been watching lots of these bad movies on purpose, and they are super fun to watch. So,
He-Man movie?
Yep. Oh man, it's they tried to dub Dolph Lundgren and then they decided like not to. So like his mouth just sort of moves in a weird way and it's like, oh there. It's like, yeah. Good times.
You follow me ever at Duke Felice. I will echo some of the things that Tony said on the hot tags. Every little bit of support helps boost morale. So follow everywhere. I want to do more across the board. I want to find fun ways to interact with people on Twitter. when Twitter's not a cesspool, I want to find fun ways to use my Instagram. I would like to actively make a go out of doing the content creation thing kind of on my own. I will never leave Fightful or WrestleZone, but I'd like to make a go of it on my own. So, support me if you want to see more of what maybe I can do, because I'll tell you right now, it's never going to happen unless I see the actual desire to see it happen.
Very true. Just like it takes money to make money. You know what I mean?
Yep. And I've been feeling that a lot lately too.
Yeah. I am feeling like the fantasy league points are going to be adjusted pretty soon when Callum gets to mess around with some of that, and we get to pick some more people.
I lose all the time.
Robbed of points, living up to their names. I'm still the Mangoes Don't Kneel, I think, right? I don't know. I never thought of another name that I like better. But that's it for Payback. Thank you, of course, for listening. Thank you for the live chats. And thank you for all your support if you're listening to this after the fact. We'll see you next time with the AEW All Out Pay-Per-Viewpoint post show tomorrow. Adios for now, though. This has been another Smark Out moment, and we are being counted out.